This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the Bottom Feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hey, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about profitability. I know I just did a podcast recently on focusing on certain aspects of pool service. Now I'm going to take that a step further and talk about what's the most profitable aspect of pool service. And it may differ a little bit by area and, of course, by how you have your business structured. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy Coaching Program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support from me. I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. If you look purely at pool service and breaking things down by the numbers, it may seem like a commercial pool service account, an apartment complex, a HOA, or maybe a hotel or motel would be the most profitable because of the fact that you're getting more of a premium rate based on what you're charging, and the time spent there is also a factor, of course, in your rate because it takes longer to clean them. They're bigger usually, require more detail, and also logging the results for the health department, all of those to be accounted for. And I believe that commercial pools can be probably one of the most profitable service account types if it's done correctly. It has to be priced accordingly to the amount of time you're spending there and also the headache factor as well. And if you're not getting a good rate on your commercial pools, you are probably no better off than just not doing that pool and focusing strictly on residential pools. A lot of people think residential pools are more profitable, and in a way they can be because of the time constraints at a commercial pool and also the headache factor that it puts upon you and your business. In a lot of cases with a commercial service pool, it's good to have an employee or someone as a backup so you can send them over there when you're not available to go. And typically commercial pools, depending on how big they are, would either have 3 days a week service, 4 days a week service, 5 days a week. Some even have 7-day a week service requirements. So they are a big consumer of time. And if you get paid enough for them, then it's definitely worth your while. How would you factor in a good rate for a commercial pool? Well, the easiest way to kind of get an idea of the price for a commercial pool is to take your average 15,000 gallon pool, the rate you charge for it. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you're charging $150 a month for a 15,000 gallon pool, and you take over a commercial account that's 45,000 gallons. So if you wanted to do simple math, you'll take your 15,000 gallon pool rate of $150, divide it by 4, we'll just keep it simple. That's about $38 per visit. So if you wanted to get a baseline price for one visit on this 45,000 gallon commercial pool, you would do 38 times 3, which is 3 residential pools, and that'll give you $114. But that's not going to make you profitable because you're just equaling what you would charge for your time to clean 3 residential pools. And that doesn't include, of course, the health department. And that usually just includes the pool, by the way, because there's usually a separate spa. It doesn't include the health department and logging the results. Also, all the other factors, like the pool may be heavily used, and so you're trying to balance the water and keeping it clear, maybe backwashing or cleaning the filter more often. Let's just say you rounded that up to 120. And again, I'm just using this as an example. 120 and you go there 3 times a week. So that's $360 per week, and then times it by 4.3. That's $1,548. That's not bad. It seems like you're making pretty good money on that account. However, there are other factors that you have to put into play. Of course, you're charging for the chemicals separately, which does help with that rate. But you also have to factor in, again, all the headache factor of doing a commercial account. Also, the financial risk factor, because you have a lot of money invested in this one account. And if you were to lose that account, you would lose a lot of money. So there's also that factor. And I would say if you're just charging $120 per visit, you're charging too little. Realistically, you're probably better off charging $200 per visit in this case, times 3, which is $600, times 4.3, which would give you $2,580 a month for this commercial pool. It's pretty fair. I mean, you can probably get away with $180 or so, and then charging the chemicals on the side. Because don't forget, the commercial service is a elite service. Not everyone's doing it. And there's a finite amount of people, at least in my area, that will take on this account, and you want to charge accordingly to make a profit. And that profit includes, of course, the extra effort you're putting into it at the commercial account to make sure that it's safe for the bathers. At a residential pool, you're not putting a lot of effort into logging the readings, not at every account, usually, unless the customer wants to know their account, their history. Sometimes you can even have a sign-in sheet and you can log things for the customer if you wanted to do that, or send them information over the app you're using for your routing software. But basically, you're not as involved, and it's not anything that's a problem. People don't use their pool nearly as much as a commercial pool. And so that's how you kind of maximize your profit. You got to think, is this worth my time and effort? And you just can't do a straight math equation. This is what I'm charging for this pool, a residential pool, and it's gonna turn out to be the same for the commercial pool, because you're gonna charge also to maintain that spa, and the spa is gonna be a separate charge. If there's a kiddie pool, you're gonna charge for that as well. And this makes the commercial pool very profitable. If you had 2 of these on your route, which is manageable, I would say a lot of times it's better to focus on one or the other, all residential or all commercial. But you can have a mixture if it works out for you in your schedule. It just makes taking vacations a little bit more difficult, and it could be a little problematic if you have no one that can service that pool while you're gone. It kind of ties you down. But if you're looking for pure profit, they definitely make better money than residential pools. In a lot of areas, they'll benefit you, but there's also, of course, again, the risk factor. If you lose that one account, you're losing a chunk of your income, and you have to figure out a way to create more income. Sometimes you can land another commercial pool to take its place. Sometimes you can have an extra commercial pool as insurance, so that you know that if you lose one, you're still good. And it's one of those things where residential pools are profitable, and it's probably going to be one of the most profitable part of your business. But if you wanted to take it out to the furthest degree, I really think commercial pool service would be something to consider if you're CPO certified. And just note that in LA County, they really want you to be certified through the health department here in Los Angeles. So you have to get double certified, CPO and the local county. It's not like that everywhere, but here they're becoming more strict. And I've had people in my group cited for not having the LA County health certification to do commercial pools. So let's just talk about residential pools versus repair income. And I did a little bit of this when I was talking about focusing on sectors in your pool service and how much money you're giving up by kind of wasting time on repairs that are not always consistent in the amount of time you're spending on repairs. I really think if you really wanted to focus on pure profit, the weekly pool service is the most profitable thing you can do. It's basically your time and labor, maybe the maintenance dose of some chemicals, and that's all the cost that's really involved in it. Yes, if you want to break it down and do costs based on fuel, vehicle wear and tear, how much money goes towards your benefits like health insurance, vacation time, things like that, it does kind of eat into that a little bit. But if you're just doing a straight line, this is how much I charge per month, this is how much I net per month, it is going to be the most profitable aspect of your pool service business. It's also the easiest thing to scale up in income as well. So let me give you a quick scenario so I can explain that. let's just say you're doing 70 pools, and let's just say you're charging, again, $150 per pool. That's $10,500 a month in your gross income. Now, there's going to be a few people that are paying late, maybe 5% or so. So all that money may not be coming in on time every month, but you're guaranteed to get that money from them eventually. But let's just say $10,500. And let's just say you're going to raise your rates to $160 a month, which is $10. So now you're bringing in $11,200, which is $700 more a month. If you don't lose any accounts, which you probably won't for that little bit of an increase. If you lose one or two, that's okay, but you're probably not going to lose too many. Let's just say you didn't lose anybody. That's $700 a month times 12. That's $8,400. You just increased your income without really doing anything except sending a letter out that notifies the customer that you're raising prices. I have a little small template that I can give you as well. Something you can actually text over to the customer, and just explains due to the inflation in the industry, you have to raise your prices. It's pretty simple. If you want that, it's a little, kind of like a little blurb. You can email me at david@swimmingpoollearning.com and I'll send that to you. And I also have a service agreement that you may find handy as well. So basically, again, you've increased your income by doing nothing but sending a letter of increase. And this is what I mean by a profitable branch of your business. And then as well, if let's say that you just add 10 more accounts to your business, so you're at 80 pools, which is about the fullest load you can probably do in my area, and maintain a pretty decent, work to off time, not overdoing it basically and working way too much out there. And let's just leave that one. Let's just say it's 160 now, and you added 10 more. So that's $1,600, and I'll times that by 12. That's $19,200 plus your $8,400 when you went up earlier that year when you raised the rates. And so, that's actually a pretty decent amount of money to increase just by adding 10 pools and by raising the rates on your other pools. And you can see why this is an area that you probably should be focusing on. Of course, you can bring on employees that take some of the burden off, versus if you weren't overly focused on service accounts, but let's just say you stayed with the 60 and you spent some time doing repairs. And like the other podcast where I talked about categories, a lot of times that doesn't bring in the same consistent amount of money, or doing green pool cleanups. Now, the only reason why I would do a green pool cleanup in any circumstance, really, unless you're getting started and you're looking just to get money, of course, to pay the bills, that's important. But if you're established and someone calls you for a green pool cleanup, the only time I would do that is if they're going to come on for service. Because again, you're going to use this multiplier. Let's just say you charge $800 for the green pool cleanup, and that's it, you're done, and they don't want service. But let's just say you charge $800 for that, and then you have $160. And someone asked me, how do they charge, if they're doing the green pool cleanup and it's the middle of the month, how do they charge for service? And I told them, just add it into the green pool service charge. And so that's pretty easy to do. So if it's let's say it's April 15th, or it's March 15th, or June 15th, and you're doing the green pool cleanup, then you would just add the half of the month in there. So instead of 800, it's 880, and that covers that first month of service. It's pretty simple. But let's just go back to the equation here. So 160. That'd be nice if you charge 1,600 times 12. That's 19,200 plus the $800 you charge for this cleanup. And I'll add the middle of the month charge just to make it simple. And what you have is $2,800 or $2,000 more for capturing that green pool as a client. So again, you take that over the course of 5 years or 6 years, and it really does add up to a lot of money when you have the weekly service accounts. I would never discount overly focusing on service accounts, because you're looking at long-term reoccurring income. And plus, on the flip side, your pool route actually has a monetary value. I know it's weird when you think about, selling your pool route, because you don't own the pools, you don't own the houses that you're selling, but you have the goodwill and the customers, and that's what you're actually monetizing when you do this kind of transaction. And so that route actually has value. And if you're just going off of a simple valuation of the gross income, so let me say that you're at 80 pools, 160 times 12, that's 153,600 over the course of the year that you're making there. And basically, a pool broker will use a 12-time multiplier to get the value of the pool route. So you do 160 times 12 times 80 pools, and that's 153,600, which is the same amount of money that you're grossing on your route. So the gross income is the sales price for 1 year. The gross income for 1 year is a pretty good sale price for that pool route, and so there's that value as well. So don't discount the profitability of that aspect of your route. If you do an acid wash, don't just do the acid wash for the sake of doing it. Do that to capture the account and bring them on a service. A lot of times you're going to get calls for filter service or repairs or something of that nature. I would try to capture those accounts as well, because really you want to focus on doing the repairs and service, those types of services, one-time cleanups, repairs on your service route customers, mainly because it's definitely more trustworthy to deal with the customers you already have versus a stranger. There's a lot of stories of people not paying their bills or reversing the charges. And if you focus on just your customers, it's a better model, I think, and you're going to really not be stretched too thin out there doing calls for people that aren't customers. And you really can't capture the maximum profit either if they're not your service route customers already, or if they don't want to come on for service. So here's how you pretty much handle that. If someone wants a pump or filter installed, you ask them, do you have pool service? They're going to say no. And you say, well, one of the things that I like to do is to service the accounts that I work on. And if you are willing to come on for service, I can definitely do the work for you, and I'll give you a little discount for that work. If they say, well, I want to maintain the pool myself, you tell them, well, that's fine. And you can give them a price that's much higher than what your competitors would charge. That way you have no bad feelings and they'll call someone else. Or if they have you do it, you're actually going to maximize the profit of that particular install. At a pool builder one time, he told me that, he's so busy that in order to discourage people from hiring him, he would just triple his rate for the pool build. And so he was really busy doing projects, and someone asked for a bid. He gave the bid and he tripled it. And they're like, okay, yeah, when can you start? That's actually good if that happens. But typically you want to just avoid those kind of repairs and installs if they're not a regular customer. There's all kinds of problems too with working for people that aren't your customers. They may complain about something or you break something. I've had someone install something and then the pool lights don't work, and they're like, hey, whatever you did, my pool lights aren't working now. And, you can argue to the end of time that it's not your fault, but people don't understand that. So there's all kinds of things that could go wrong in that aspect. So I think if you look at your business model, see what's the most profitable: commercial pools, residential. Repairs can be very profitable if you have enough of them and you're doing repairs for other companies and you're consistently out there working. And there's some dead time in the wintertime, of course, but it's one of those things where if you make enough in the summer, you don't have to worry about the winter in a lot of cases. So just see what is going to make the most money and focus on that, and focus on making that the most profitable part of your business. And you'll be really successful with this model. A lot of times you don't focus on what makes you the money, and you're just out there spinning your wheels and you're not charging enough for certain things. And that actually costs you money because you spend time doing something and you don't get paid for that time. If you're looking for other podcasts that I have recorded, you can find those on my website, swimmingpoollearning.com. Just click on the podcast icon on top on the banner, and there'll be a drop-down menu of 1,600 podcasts there. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I offer, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.